and welcome to today's tutorial. In this project, I will be walking you through creating this beautiful Minnie Mouse. Kitty cat, what are you doing? Do you want the Minnie Mouse bow or the bag? Oh, you are so cute. I know. Okay, go get chased by Daisy elsewhere. All right, back to my intro. Oh, Daisy, I see you. Okay, so this design is stitched entirely in the hoop using an 8 by 12 inch hoop or larger. And it's a great way to really practice like combining zippers and quilting, maybe even also applique if you're not very familiar with that, and just even assembling the bag itself. It's so fun. And I really want to emphasize that this bag is fully lined. So like if you look inside there are no exposed seams, and it's pretty big actually. So let me show you what it looks like on me. So I'm especially excited about this one because I'll be taking it with me on my trip to Disneyland this fall. And I'm planning to pair it with black pants and red top to complete the Minnie Mouse bounding look. You can also make an optional strap for this bag, but if you choose to do so, you will need a sewing machine. And I kind of decided to make this an adjustable strap. So you can see here, like this would be the length for a shoulder bag, but I can easily take one of these straps right here and make it a cross body bag with plenty of room to put it over my body. So I love how versatile that is. And I'm going to show you how I made this strap more towards the end of this video. So, all right, so enough talking. Go gather your fabrics, your stabilizer, and hardware, and let's just get started on this bag. This design is so easy to personalize, and so I'm going to design with my husband, so I thought I would commemorate this by personalizing this vertical crossover bag. And so I'm just going to click my create letters, and I have the Itch to Stitch Kingdom font, and I'm just going to type Disneyland and 2025, and I'm going to set it. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And I'm going to leave it in the center, but I'm going to bring it down to the bottom, about right there, I'd say. Okay, and then I just want to zoom in and look at it, make sure I have all the letters correctly. So, yep, I think I spelled it right. 2025 looks good. I cannot leave it here where it's stitching it last. I actually have to move it, and so I'm going to move it to after the satin stitches of the bow. So it goes the bow stitch, then it'll go letters, and then it'll do the lining stitch. And then after that, it'll do, so here's the lining stitch, then it'll do the tabs. All right, that looks good. So I'm going to save it and bring it to the machine. We're going to start with hoop 1. And this is an 8 by 12 inch hoop. You will need that size for this design. And I put tearaway stabilizer in it. And so you'll need tearaway stabilizer for both of the hoopings. And I just have white thread in here. So I'm just gonna use white thread for this design. And run the first stitch, which is the placement stitch. Next, use these stitches as placement stitches for the low loft batting. And so I have low loft batting right here. And I'm just gonna align it in so that it covers all those placement stitches. And then I'll run my next stitch. And I will hold this in place while it's stitching. As you probably saw, I got a little off on the edges here, but I made this panel super large so that there is a lot of give to this design, so not a problem. The next thing you need to do is grab your fabric piece for the top. I'm using black because I'm going with the Minnie Mouse motif, and you're just gonna cover the stitches right side facing up. And you do have to cover all of them at this point. So hold it in place and let it run the next stitch, which is the tack down stitch. The line we're going to look at now is this one at the bottom of the rectangle that was just stitched out. Take your bottom fabric and have it wrong side facing up. And what I'm gonna do is bring it past the line I just sewn. So just like this. And you'll see that there's no fabric right here yet because we're gonna flip in a second. So we're gonna run the next stitch, which is a tack down stitch. One thing I forgot to mention is that I don't give you cut dimensions for the fabrics because I do cut and I do stitch and then with the placement stitch, and then I do measurements and then I cut. So what I would do is that very first stitch with the placement stitch and then measure how big your pieces need to be. And as you can see, mine is way too big, but I always go more than less because I've done it many times where I've gone less. All right, so as you see, I flipped over. So now the bottom fabric is facing right side up. Remove it from the hoop and just tear away the stabilizer from the outside rectangle. So just like so. It should be pretty easy. And what I'm going to do is use this line, the exterior line, and use a 1/4 seam allowance and cut it so that it's nice and even. All right, hoop number 1 is done. Look how cute and chic that is. It's gonna be so darling. For hoop 2, load the second embroidery file and hoop a fresh piece of tearaway stabilizer in your 8 by 12 inch hoop. Run the first stitch to mark the placement. Place the zipper along the placement line, lining it up with the rectangle guide. Tape it in place, then run the next stitch to secure both sides of the zipper. I do not provide you with any measurements, and so what you're going to do is measure for 2 pieces, okay? So you have this white line right here. That's going to be for the black piece. And so what I would do, because you have to do the flip and fold method, I would go from this stitch line to this stitch line, and that is 3 inches, and then add at least another inch. So I'm going to do 4 inches, and I think I cut it a little too much. Oh yeah, I cut it way longer than needed. Okay, so that will be good because what's going to happen is I'm going to stick it right here. I'll do the tack down stitch, and then we're going to do the batting stitch, and then after the batting stitch, then we're going to flip it over like this. So all right, so now the other one we have to measure, of course, is the lining piece. And so I'm going to do it from the top of here to the bottom of the design. It's 9.5. So we for sure want to do about 10.5 inches long for the lining piece. And so I'm going to cut that out right now, and I'll show you how to tape it in place. I have everything cut out how I want it. So the first thing I'm going to do is flip my hoop over. And I'm going to pay close attention to where the zipper is. And I'm going to take my lining piece, the one that will be on the inside of the bag, and I'm going to have it wrong side facing up. And I'm going to basically drag it all the way down past the zipper tape, just like so. And I will secure with tape. So I'll flip it over, give it a nice finger press, and then just like before, wrong side facing up, but mine's black, so it doesn't have a wrong side, but pretend yours did. So wrong side would be facing up if yours does have a wrong side. And then I'm going to bring it all the way past down the zipper tape and secure with tape. And I'm gonna take it to the machine. And the tack down stitch will happen right up here where it was previously stitched for the zipper tape. So I'll do that right now. I just want to show you the back of my machine real fast. As you can see, here's the liner piece. When it's hanging off of my machine, just like this, it's supposed to be like this, you'll see that it's right side facing up. It's because, of course, I folded it underneath the hoop. And then you'll see that here's my short black piece. It is also hanging a little bit off the hoop. So I'm gonna run the next stitch, and then I'll show you how to do the next batting piece. Take your low loft batting piece, make sure it is wide enough. I got a little close there. And basically put it next to, bump it up to that line. Just like so. You want to be right below the line that was just stitched, and then making sure that you have it on all sides. I think that looks pretty good. All right, so then I'm gonna run the next stitch, which will tack down the batting piece. Take the black piece and fold it under the needle and hold it in place and give it a nice finger press. And at this time, it's gonna tack this down. And again, now the right side of your fabric piece should be facing up. Again, mine's black on both sides, so there isn't one. I made my fabric piece way too big. So I'm just gonna take my scissors and just cut the bottom part, making sure I'm not gonna cut the batting. Just like this. I'm not gonna get super close to the stitches because I don't want it to fray and get ruined that way, but just like a nice little cut over here. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is grab my bottom piece, which is the red and white polka dot design, and I'm going to basically pull it down to about here, I'd say, and then I'm gonna run the next stitch, which will tack it down. And when I put my hoop back in the machine, I have to make sure that this hangs off my machine again. I do not want to sew the liner yet. Take the top piece, just the one that's gonna be the bottom 2/3 of the design, and fold it underneath and over. And I'm just gonna hold it in place, just like so. I'm gonna give it a nice finger press. And I'm gonna run the next stitch, which will tack this down in place. Just like the panel piece, it is now going to do the diamond quilting feature. So I'm just gonna let it run. Next, we'll stitch the applique for the bow. Start with a placement stitch. Then lay your bow fabric right side up over the area and hold it in place while it does the tack down stitch to secure it. Take it out of your machine and trim away the extra fabric close to the line. Place it back into your machine so that it can finish with the satin stitch that goes around the bow's edges. This next stitch is completely optional, but you can add personalization here if you'd like. For mine, I stitched Disneyland 2025. It is now at this time that we are going to take the hoop out of the machine, flip the hoop over, and we're going to take that lining piece, remove all this tape, and we are going to pull it down so that the right side now is facing forward or facing up. So you can see it, the right side is facing up. And what I'm going to do is tape it down so that it doesn't get caught underneath the machine, and run the next stitch, which will tack it down in place. This next part of the project will be putting the tabs in place, and normally I do a D-ring, and instead I forgot that I have these keychains right here that are Mickey shaped, so I'm actually going to use these instead. And you'll need 2 pieces of ribbon or polyester webbing. I'm using polyester webbing to give it a little bit more structure. So the next step will be to stitch the placement stitch, which will happen right here. Take one of your keychains and one of your polyester webbing pieces and slide it through, and then put the raw edges together And what you're gonna do is slip it underneath your machine where that placement stitch was and run it. Now repeat the same step on the right side of the bag. So first do the placement stitch, then place your folded webbing with a D-ring or keychain over the placement line, and then make sure the raw edges are facing outward before running the stitch to secure it in place. We only had 2 more stitches left, and this next step is extremely important. If you don't do it, your bag will be ruined. Believe me, I've done this a couple times where I forgot to open up the zipper. Now you need to open up the zipper. Well, I should probably check my zipper to make sure it was working before I did it. Okay, it is. Come on, zipper. There we go. You should always check your zipper before you actually use it too. I did not do that, and I forget to do it all the time, just to make sure that the zipper is working well. All right, so I put the zipper right there, and what's gonna happen next is I'm gonna make sure that these are all facing that way. Perfect. Zipper is open. Perfect. It does not go past this line, and it does not go past this line, so it needs to be right in the middle, kind of. Okay, so again, it is so important you open the zipper. I created one of these a couple days ago, and I forgot to open the zipper, and I got to the cutting station, and I had to scrap the whole project because it was ruined. So yeah. All right, so then grab your piece from hoop 1, see this right here, and you're gonna line up the as best as possible, you're gonna line up the red with the red fabric and the black with the black fabric. And you can see that I have given quite a bit of extra space, a little bit of extra at the bottom, okay, and at the top. I do that because it could shift a little bit, okay? So what I'm gonna do is make sure that the wrong side is facing up, and I'm gonna put it underneath my thing, or underneath the needle just like that. I'm just gonna fold it kind of like this and then match it up as best as I can. Just like so. And then I'm gonna make it go down as straight as possible. And I put extra at the top because I'm not sure how much the zipper will shift your needle, and so that's why I do that. And I have plenty of spot at the bottom. Okay, so I'm gonna check one more time before I run it. And I think it looks pretty good. All right, so now I'm gonna run it, and it's gonna tack down the back exterior panel piece. We only need to use the machine for one more stitch, and that is to attach the lining piece to for the inside liner. And so I have my second coordinating fabric with this one, and I'm going to put it right sides together, so essentially wrong sides facing up. And I need this fabric to go past this zipper tape, and I like to go past it a little bit, okay? So like I like to go about that much. And then make sure that it is on all sides. Perfect. We definitely need extra fabric on these sides because of there will be a gaping hole. And then use tape to secure it in place. And take it to the machine and run the next stitch, which will do a single stitch that goes like this, and then a bean stitch that will go back. And of course it leaves a hole on one of the sides. We are all done with the embroidery machine. So go ahead and remove the hoop from the machine, flip it over, and peel off all the excess tape and the stabilizer. We are ready to cut our design, but before we do that, I do want you to grab the liner piece, and you'll see that there's the hole right there. And so I want you to grab both of the liner pieces together and basically just fold it over like so. And what I'm gonna do is cut to this edge right here. because we do not need all this extra fabric right here. Okay, and then, okay, so I want to keep excess fabric where there's this hole. So what I do is I find where it ends right there and do a diagonal cut like so. And then I do another diagonal cut like so right here, okay? And then I am not gonna cut this off, this extra fabric. Now I'm gonna cut around the edges, using about a 1/4 to 1/8 inch seam allowance, but just be careful. Now it's time to turn the bag inside out. I have small hands, so I can reach through the opening and pull from a corner. If your hands are larger, use a turning tool instead and take your time here. Be gentle and avoid putting too much pressure on the seams. Tear away the remaining stabilizer around the zipper, using tweezers if necessary to get as much off as you can. Next, we'll close the hole in the lining. So fold the edges inward, clip them with wire clips to hold the shape. Then unclip one section at a time, add fabric glue, and clip it back so it can dry. Go ahead and take off the wire clips, then carefully check the seam to be sure it's fully closed with the fabric glue. If you notice any spots that aren't sealed, add a little extra glue and let it dry. Once everything looks secure, gently turn the bag right side out by pulling it through the zipper opening. Let's make the crossbody strap, and I am using the same color here as let me grab my bag real quick, as the zipper and the ribbon I attached here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this little buckle right here, and this is the wrong side. You can see the grooves. That's the wrong side. I'm going to have the right side facing up. And I think I cut about 65 inches here, but then I had to use some more because I made mistakes on my bag. So I think this is down to 60 inches now. So this is a 60-inch polyester webbing strap. And then, of course, because I cut it, I needed to burn the edges with a lighter to avoid it from fraying. And what I'm going to do is take my sliding buckle and put it under, over, and then come around here to the back like this. And I am going to actually, well, it's actually gonna be on the front actually. I'm going to sew these two together, and I'm gonna do a box stitch, and I'm terrible at making a box stitch. I love making box stitches I used to do dog collars on my embroidery machine, and I'd have the perfect box stitches because it's an embroidery machine, but now I'm using the sewing machine, and so I'll show you how to do it with the sewing machine. Right. You can see the little box square I made right there. All right, I'm gonna have my wrong side facing up. So this is my wrong side, okay? And I'm going to find the end piece, just like so. And I'm gonna grab one lobster clasp. I'm gonna have the lobster clasp facing down and insert the ribbon into the lobster clasp. And then I'm just gonna bring it down here. It doesn't matter how far it goes, okay? Then, making sure that I am not changing, I'm keeping my finger on this one, okay? I'm gonna take it and take the end of this ribbon, wrong side, under, and then over, just like so. And then I can move this down, just like so. And, okay, that looks good. To be honest, my lobsters, because they can change sides, so it's really not that big of a deal actually, but I'm just doing it this way. Okay. All right. So now I have it right side facing up. So then, okay, I want to keep the right side facing up. Right side is facing up. I'm going to take my second lobster clasp, right side facing up, go like this. And then I'm going to bend it like so. And I kind of like to just keep this in place. So I'll go like this. I'll just put like a clasp right there so that I can get it underneath my machine and it doesn't shift on me. And then I'm going to sew a box stitch right here on my sewing machine. I'm actually going to do one more line as close as I can right here to prevent it from turning. So now you can see I have it as close as possible to this one right here, because this would be the length of a shoulder strap if you want. So do you see it? But if you want to make it a crossbody, you just take it and you go like this and go to the other side. And you keep going just like so. Okay, as far as you want. This is probably about there. We'll make a nice solid shoulder strap. And so I'm gonna take these and I'm going to put it on the Mickey ear. And now you have a crossbody, or again, if you want to have a shoulder purse, you can go like this. And now you have a shoulder purse, just like so. And then you do want to make sure that I always start from this side, and then sometimes I do twist around because like I don't have a perfect, actually this one did not twist around. Some people put like, I don't know what they call it, like a little pin or something right here to keep it in order. But it is so cute. I love the Minnie Mouse inspired colors, the bow. I personalized it. Of course, this does not come with your purchase. And inside the zipper, it is fully lined, no exposed seams, and it's perfect for fitting a phone in there. And of course, money and any other goods you might have. So, such a fun design. Thank you for watching. Thanks for watching. This design is free on my Patreon. Check the link below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more creative fun.